welcome to the show! I am Wolfie Bane, your host for today, and we are back doing another Pokemon type tier list, or I guess a Pokemon category tier list today. Howdy! Have a fantastic day, fantastic time, fantastic evening, and a fantastic life right now. Everybody, I'm back. I'm here, and I'm ready to talk about some video games. So, first of all, let's do a bit of rounding up from last week. Hi. I am Wolfie. A different Wolfie from the actual Pokemon Wolfie. I'm just some guy. I am not anyone special. But I do like my gaming stuff, and I do like my Pokemon. So, we are going to be doing a Pokemon tier list today. Right, but before that, let's get some things done. So I hope y'all liked the double TTRPG week last week, essentially, where I was GMing a Dark Heresy one-shot with a couple of other Twitch streamers. All awesome, and also a good buddy. So that was an absolute blast. That was a damn good time. And the Altera little vignettes episode, which was also a lot of fun and is uploaded last on my YouTube by now. So do check it out. It was a damn good time. And as was the Gigantamax tier list, as I said. It was fun. I had a fun time last week. I've also, in theory, might have another collab stream. Not necessarily with the same people, but I've, in theory, got a collab stream that might happen later in the week. I'm not guaranteeing anything, but it might happen in the next couple of weeks at some point. Because we had a lot of fun at one point over the weekend playing a very, very silly game, and we were not taking it seriously. So I'll poke people if they want to do a little collab for a few hours. If people are free, of course. Excuse me. Yeah, so that would be fun. And yeah, I had an absolute blast with the TTRPGs last week. They were just good fun. And I'm excited for what's happening next in Altera. It should be a delight. I'm really looking forward to the next arc. It's probably going to be starting, if my prediction's correct, the next big arc should be starting early next year. Would be my prediction. I'm not guaranteeing that. But that would be my prediction. It might be starting up in December. We'll figure it out. But yeah, it should be a good time. Either way, I got a small cake. If anyone likes the Mr. Kipling's French Fancies, I recommend buying the best version of them, which is currently on sale because they are not sponsored. My God, Mr. Kipling, if you want to sponsor me, I will take it. But they make these, like, frosted French Fancies, which are basically just French Fancies, but pure vanilla. They are so fucking good. I ended up buying so many around Christmas. Because the only time of the year they sell them. Because they have various types. They have, like, the egg ones they sell around Easter. They have the orange ones they sell at Halloween. But the vanilla ones that they sell only around Christmas are by far the best, and it's not close. One of the best parts of Christmas time for me. That's better. But yes, anyway. To our actual video. What we are doing today, we are doing a legendary tier list. This is a list of every single legendary Pokemon in Pokemon. And I will state this, just outright. This is my stance on the matter. All mythical Pokemon, legendary Pokemon. Right? That's a real big key issue which a lot of people have. And I will put it as this. Are mythical Pokemon legendaries? Yes. Are all legendary Pokemon mythical? No. I personally think that the mythical Pokemon category is a subsection of legendary Pokemon. That's always been my personal thought of it. Yes, mythicals are the rarest, but it's always been my point of they're the rarest legendaries. Right? They are Pokemon that there's maybe, like, two. Like, one or two. Like, we're talking single-digit numbers for mythicals. Legendaries, I've always pretty much had the thought of legendary Pokemon are just a very, very rare, very powerful type of Pokemon. I've always pretty much just thought of that. That's how I defined legendaries over pseudo-legendaries. Because for pseudo-legendaries, they're rare, but I'd say they're rare in the they're uncommon kind of category, right? Because you can get a lot of them in the games. And as we know from multiple Pokemon games and sources and lore and stuff, legendaries, in nearly every case for a legendary, there's a few of them. Like, there's a couple. Like, Rayquaza. There's, to my knowledge, about 4 Rayquazas that show up in the anime. And they're different. They are actually different Rayquazas. They are just an insanely powerful creature. Then there's nothing, like, magic about them. They are just one of the single most powerful creatures in the Pokemon universe. Even compared to gods. Like, Rayquaza's just a animal. It's just a normal Pokemon. But it's stupidly strong. And that's kind of the point. Legendaries are like that. There's a few of them. Like, Dialga Palkia, bit of a weird one, but I'd say there's probably a couple. Not many, but a couple. Kyogre, Groudon, yeah, we know. They are referred to as well for the few of these Pokemon as A. Not the A. But a few like Arceus, that's Arceus. That's the Arceus. There's one. And that's what I've always pretty much thought. There are a legendary, there's a couple. There's like a fair number, even if they're insanely rare and insanely strong. There's a couple of them. For a legendary, that is kind of the crux of the matter. For mythical, there's like one. Right? Now, I know this technically falls apart when you think of things like Mewtwo. Or, what other ones would there be? That there is only one. I guess Fione? I don't know what Fione actually counts as, I'm gonna be honest. Or Mewtwo. Like, Mewtwo, there's pretty much only one. Except, is there only one Mewtwo? Because we've seen the Mewtwo from, like, the stuff with Ash and things. There's also the Mewtwo that's not sentient in Pokemon Origins, which is the video game one. So I think in the video game world, they actually made a few Mewtwo's. In the video game, like, canon, I guess. I have a feeling they made a couple of Mewtwo's. I don't think it's unique. Whereas, obviously, in the actual Pokemon movies and stuff, I'm pretty sure there's only one Mewtwo. It's been a while, okay? I haven't seen most of the Pokemon movies. And I haven't seen the anime past... God, I didn't even watch that much of the anime, but I watched up to Gen 3 and saw some clips later on. So yeah, I'm not exactly the biggest anime guy for Pokemon anime specifically. I watch other types of anime. I am a different type of weeb. But I've always said that the Pokemon games make fantastic games, which is one of the reasons why I'm quite fond of them. So, anyway, let's get into it. So, everybody should know my tier lists today. How they work out. S tier is the best of the best of the best of the best of the best. Simply the best, as they got for this one. They are my absolute peak favorites. Every single thing that will be an S tier, pretty much nothing wrong with it at all. Like, it is peak in both how it works, how it's designed. There's always something that puts it into my absolute top tippy top tier. And I'm going to be honest, I'm a sucker for legendary Pokemon, so there's probably going to be quite a few in S tier. I'm going to be honest. There's going to be a lot in A tier, I'm imagining, as well. For A is my second best tier. These are just off of the top spots. They are Pokemon that I genuinely really like, but something. Hey, Nixie, thank you for the 4-month sub. It's greatly appreciated. You're awesome. Okay, yeah. A is absolutely amazing Pokemon. I love them so much. So, yeah. A tier, it's going to be good. B tier. B tier is Pokemon that I like a lot. Like, they are good. They are objectively just good and cool and awesome. But they miss that special something that gets them into one of the higher categories. Now, I will say, if it's in B tier, I still really fucking like it. I still really, really like anything that's in B tier. But it's not quite one of the best ones. And because we're doing legendaries this time, I'm going to have to be a bit stricter with a lot of these Pokemon. So, I'm looking at them objectively compared to other legendaries. I do love them. And basically think this in the same kind of vein as I did my original Dragon-type tier list, where I love every single Dragon Pokemon. There's not a single one that I don't like. But comparing to other Dragon types, there's definitely some I like less than others. So, they got bumped down some tiers. Because I had to be very critical. C is my average bar. If I think this Pokemon is just okay and fine for a legendary, remember this is legendaries, so don't feel butthurt if your favorite legendary is getting put into a random tier that's a bit lower than it should be. Because these is objective. From me. It's not necessarily a gauge on power either. It's purely on it, do I like him? Power will play a role. If I think a Pokemon is correctly balanced, and these are legendaries, they're supposed to be insane, then yeah, I'll give it a good spot for that. But expect some of them just because it's strong doesn't mean it's gonna get a good mark. D, I don't really like it. D tier is the one of like, I'm not a huge fan of this. Like, it could be better. That's what I basically will say. It's a missed opportunity, or something's objectively, like, bad about it in my personal view. Or it just rubs me the wrong way. That is what D tier will be. E tier, I'm gonna be honest, I don't know if there's a single Pokemon on this list that's gonna be an E tier. The only reason there's an E tier on this is because this particular tier list came with an E tier by default, and I can't be asked to delete it, in case there actually happens to be a Pokemon that gets E tier on this list. I don't expect there to be, but you never know, there might be one. There's a couple of legendaries I really, really don't like. So, yeah, sure, why not? Leave the E tier. So, without any further ado, let's get into this. So, regular Cantonian Articuno. My favorite of the original 3 legendary birds, I will say. I have a soft spot for Articuno. I do like it. It's by far the worst of the legendary birds. It is one of the worst legendary Pokemon, to be honest. But I've got a soft spot for it. Because you can make it work. I have made regular Articuno work. It's not particularly good. But you can, if you really put your mind to it, make the Pokemon do okay. As I heard a favorite YouTuber say, Articuno is basically Delibird Plus. It's the premium subscription Delibird. It's not great, but I do like it. It's a fun Pokemon. It's actually a delight to use, genuinely. I have had some fun using it. It's fun to use in things like Pokerogue as well. If you're not guaranteed to go up against the things it's super, super weak to, because my god, is Articuno weak to a lot. Ice and Flying is a terrible type combo. But it is a lot of fun to run. It's got some good moves and good attacks, and it's just classic. Also, I think it is genuinely the best designed of the original 3 Cantonian birds. I will say that. It just looks good. Moltres looks like it was done quick. Was like, oh, we don't have an idea here. Just put fire on the bird. Just do that. And Zapdos, I've already talked regularly about Zapdos. We're going to talk about Zapdos soon. But yeah, Articuno, for me, gets a very solid and very respectable B tier. I genuinely have a soft spot for this Pokemon. Not enough to get it into one of the higher categories, but I do genuinely like it. Now we get to Galarian Articuno, which I've stated before. I think all three of the Galarian legendary birds are straight upgrades. They are so much better in every way to the Cantonian versions. I absolutely fucking love all three of them. Howdy, Anonymous. Yeah, I genuinely love... Oh, one moment. Just realised something. Apologies. I had to mute a channel because there's people messaging in it on my Discord. Not my personal Discord, just Discord in general. It's mute for 3 hours. Yeah. Anyway. Yes, so. I fucking love Galarian Articuno. Galarian Articuno also has one of the best shinies in Pokemon. For instance, if you don't know, the Galarian legendary birds get the shiny colors that the original Pokemon has. Right? So, Galarian Articuno, standard, it's nice purpley color, which looks very good. But it's shiny, it turns the base colors of Articuno. And I will say, Galarian Articuno's design with Articuno's colors is, beautiful looking Pokemon. So, because of that, and because I genuinely like using this Pokemon, it's also not particularly good. It's not awful. It's not an awful Pokemon. You just have to... It's one of those Pokemon that it needs more moves to really make work. And it doesn't have... Honestly, if this Pokemon got an AoE Psychic move, I don't think it gets one. I think this Pokemon would be genuinely very, very good in doubles. I don't know if it is useful in doubles, but I think this Pokemon could absolutely clap in doubles if it had some sort of, like, AoE Psychic move. I don't know if it does, and it might, but I haven't seen it a lot, so I assume it doesn't. Because it gets competitive. I love competitive. Competitive is a fucking cool ability. So, yeah. So, Galarian Articuno, comfortable A tier. I genuinely like this Pokemon. Now, Zapdos. Right. I know people love Zapdos, right? People absolutely adore this thing. Whereas I fucking hate this thing. I despise Zapdos. It's okay. It's very good. It's comparatively a very, very good Pokemon. Zapdos is just solid, right? Never anything wrong with it. You're always happy to have one on your team in terms of power. How fucking ever. I hate this shitbird's design. I do not like it at all. It's terrible design. I've always said this before. I think that Zapdos looks like a canary just hit a windscreen. I do not like it. I think it's got a terrible design. The power makes it very good. Unfortunately, it sucks design-wise. It's so shitty looking. I've always said it just there's a bad design. For me, okay, I have this running theory, which apparently is collaborated by a couple, also like theory rumors and stuff, that in Gen 1, the only one of the legendary birds that was originally intended to be a legendary Pokemon was Articuno. But which would make sense, because it's got an objectively unique and good design. Because I think it was supposed to be something like Dragonite, Articuno, and, what's his name? Arcanine. I think was supposed to be the 3 original legendary Pokemon, which I think would have been very, very cool as, like, a vibe, right? It was Dragonite or Gyarados, or one of the two. Actually, yeah, it was supposed to be Gyarados, because Dragonite was supposed to be, was supposed to be the evolved form of Charmander originally. Then they made Charizard, and that was the whole thing. And they made the Dragon type, which I've got a whole bunch of shit talking about what I think the Dragon type should have been added earlier on in Pokemon. Earlier on in the construction of Gen 1, so Charizard and Gyarados would have both gotten Dragon type. Zapdos and Moltres always felt kind of slapped together. They weren't particularly good or interesting designs. Now, Zapdos is the biggest fault. Zapdos has not got a good design. I will say that. The spikiness doesn't work. It's got great typing. Electric Flying is a fantastic typing. But I just can't give Zapdos a good mark. I don't like it. Because I'm feeling a bit gratuitous. Electric Eagle Spiky. Yeah. Exactly. But there are ways to do Electric and ways to do Spiky that are good. Zapdos is neither of those. So... let's see. Is there anything that I think on this list I dislike more than Zapdos? That I objectively dislike more than Zapdos. Not my personal hatred of it. For certain Pokemon. Yeah, you know what? I'll be generous to you, Zapdos. You only get D tier. I do not like this Pokemon. I never have, I never will. I do not like using it. I think it sucks. It's a very strong Pokemon, but it's just... God. You have to look at that thing? No thanks. However, I will say, Spiky does sometimes work. And when I say Spiky sometimes works, I am gonna say that it means Galarian Zapdos. Galarian Zapdos slaps. It's such a good design. Spiky works for a Roadrunner. A flightless bird. Why it's flying type? They wanted to keep them all flying type, I get it. But Galarian Zapdos is gorgeous. I love it. I love its default color scheme. I also like the shiny color scheme because, again, it gets Zapdos' yellow color scheme, which on Galarian Zapdos actually looks good. Yeah, Galarian Zapdos, again, absolutely fucking slaps. Love that Pokemon. Really fun to use as well, I'm gonna be honest. I genuinely love this thing, so... Yeah. Galarian Zapdos, another comfortable A tier, and it can be happy with that. It's very, very good. It works so well. Flying Fighting is a very fun typing as well. I genuinely like that, like the typing. It's Holucha. It's Giga Holucha, right? They say that Articuno is Delibird Plus. Well, Galarian Zapdos is Holucha Plus. Thankfully, though, it's all very, very good. They're both actually very, very good Pokemon. Moltres. I don't particularly like Moltres, but I do not have anywhere near the animosity I have for it as I have for Zapdos. For me, Moltres is fine. Fine. That's all I can really give it. It's not good. It has a weird bit where it kind of looks like... If for some reason... Okay, here's a bit I've always had. I always think that Moltres looks like it's some... Like, it should have some relation to Rapidash. It doesn't. But the kind of... It looks... It's the same designer, I think, made Moltres and Rapidash. Because it is just animal with highlights of fire. It doesn't really take on the proper aspects of it in a way. Genuinely, if regular Moltres looked a bit more like Galarian Moltres, or, to be honest, a Ho-Ho. Ho-Ho does it so much better. So, Moltres isn't really that special for me. I will say, beautiful shiny again, and it's a good-looking Pokemon. The design, the 3D actually makes Moltres look a lot better. But the main part is the main body for Moltres. It doesn't exemplify that kind of Phoenix look well enough for me. So, regular Moltres, you're getting C tier. It's fine. You're nothing special, really. You're alright. You're very fun in Pokerogue when you get Torch Song. I will give you that. That one is genuinely fun, but it's just not... It's not special, right? It's not quite got that thing. It is very, very good competitively, though. Particularly at the moment, actually. Hard counters like half of the meta currently in singles, I believe. So it actually got bumped from, like, RU to OU. Because they've already realized, wait a minute, this thing resists or is immune to pretty much everything in the meta. Because there's no good rock types, or there's not that many water types in the meta. And you can make Moltres very, very tough, and it gets flame body, so it burns anything it hits that hits it. So, it's pretty cool. Yeah, solid C tier. Once again, I will say this, if you want to use a fire type in Kanto, if you want to use a fire flying type in Kanto, use my boy Charizard. He's more fun. Though I will say Moltres is very good. Galarian Moltres, though. Oh. Can you say the best legendary bird fast enough? My god. Easy A tier. And a high A tier as well. I fucking love Galarian Moltres. I used this thing a lot when he was legal in UU. Galarian Moltres was one of my go-tos on my competitive singles team in UU. It was one of the big four that made up most of my teams, which was a set of Garchomp. It was Garchomp, Hisuian Arcanine, Toxapex, and Galarian Moltres were like the main four on my teams. And it was very effective, let me tell you. Those four were scary. And the rest would, like, add some extra fun Pokemon on there. Like, I'd usually base the rest of the team around that setup. Because it was all very, very good. Genuinely. Galarian Moltres, what can I say? It's the Berserk bird. It's just tanky enough that you're pretty much always going to get Berserk off as well. It's so good. Like, this thing, oh. It's glorious. This is genuinely an absolutely monstrous Pokemon. And I cannot say, this is one of the few Pokemon I've used berries on as well. I use a citrus berry on it. So you're getting knocked below for half health, which it very regularly does. Most attacks only take it to half health. It won't actually kill it. Because Galarian Moltres is way sturdier than you think it is. Obviously, Dark Flying being an amazing type combination as well. And this thing, with a boost of its special attack, then it gets up again with the Citrus Berry, which means it can go Berserk again. Let me tell you, if you Nasty Plot this thing, or just Agility this thing, it will sweep entire teams. There's a reason it got banned from UU. But I absolutely love this Pokemon, so yeah, comfortable high A tier. Now then, Mewtwo. Controversial pick. I'm gonna be honest. I've never really been a Mewtwo guy. I don't dislike the Pokemon at all. And he's not a C tier, don't worry, he's not gonna get C tier. But I've never been the biggest Mewtwo fanboy. I know a lot of people that really love this mon. And I go, he's cool. But it never did it for me, you know? Maybe it's growing up and seeing him as the villain. I always thought Mew was cute. Mew is very cute. To be fair, I think there are better mythicals than Mew as well. I love Mew, by the way, but yeah. I digress. Mewtwo is very, very good. It's objectively an awesome Pokemon. It's just very, very solid in every aspect. And the Mega Mewtwo's are obviously one of the strongest Pokemon ever. So, yeah. Regular Mewtwo, you are getting B tier. Above Arcuna, I will give it that. Mewtwo X, I'll also give in B tier, because it is cool. Mewtwo Y, however, Mewtwo Y, I like a bit more. You're going in A tier. Behind the Galabird, but I think the Galabirds are really, really good, all of them. Mewtwo Y, you are awesome. I do like that design. I said this on the Psychic tier list, I'm pretty sure, or the Megas tier list, I think it was. Where I kind of wish that Mewtwo Y was, Mega Mew. I kind of wish that. I absolutely get why it's not, and they wanted to make two for Mewtwo and not a one for a Mythical again. It's because they wanted the Mythical to have Deance's Mega to have the Mythical. But yeah, I do kind of wish the Mega Mewtwo Y was Mega Mew. Or Mega Mewtwo X wasn't a thing, and it was, you know what I mean. But I think Mega Mewtwo Y is very, very cool. It just is. Mega Mewtwo X is also very, very cool. I like they went to different design philosophy with it, which I think is pretty fun. The punching psychic type. I do genuinely wish, though, that I can't remember exactly what I said. I wish you had a different ability that was something like... makes all psychic-type moves do physical damage, or something like that, I think I said. Something like that. Like, if it was a special attacker, but all its special attacks did physical damage instead, I think that would be kind of sick. Or the opposite way around, like, all physical moves turn to special moves or something like that. I don't know. I think it would add something cool. But, it's still a cool mon. Be in A tier. Easy. Mew. I can't not put Mew in A tier, right? Above Galarian Articuno. But not for me personally above Galarian Zapdos. I love Mew. Mew's so cute. Also, very funny to note, Mew is the only non-fire water grass type that can learn the starter Giga moves. So Blast, Burn, Hydro Cannon, and Frenzy Plant. Mew can actually learn them because as of Gen 9 DLC, they are now TMs. So, you can actually teach them to Mew. Which is very funny to me. So, yeah. Sorry, I've got a bit of a blocked nose at the moment and a bit of a sore throat. I'm almost out of Coca-Cola. Tragic. Right. Now for the legendary beast, the El Doggos, or to be very honest, two of them are cats. I've always had a soft spot for Raikou, because I actually had a Pokemon card of Raikou before I knew it was a legendary Pokemon. Back in the ancient times, I generally had a shiny Raikou, and it was very cool. I had to find my Pokemon cards somewhere. I need to get them valued and see if I can sell them. There's probably some things that are worth a little bit at least, considering. Considering they're old and in reasonable condition, I'm pretty sure. I don't think there's no mid conditions or anything, but I could probably get a bit of cash for them. But yeah, Raikou, I like Raikou. For me, B tier. I do genuinely like it. I think it's got a great design. Same with Entei and Suicune, to be honest. I'm going to put all three of them here, but I'm going to put Suicune down below. I do like Suicune. I think it... Suicune does one thing, and that's kind of the issue I have with it. Like, I know it's not always a... how the Pokemon is designed makes it cool. But for me, personally, the other two have always been way more iconic than Suicune. I know people love Suicune, but a lot of people like Suicune the best out of these three. For me, personally, I much prefer Raikou and Entei. If I'm going to be honest. Entei has, like, the big, stompy, physical fire type thing. It gets E-Speed, Sacred Fire, the whole spiel. And it was in the movie, like, there was the girl's dad that turned into an Entei in like, the second movie. And it was the movie that Charizard came back in and had, like, the big brawl with Entei, which was just sick. If that's what you wish. Exactly. Oh, Entei is an absolute classic. And I like Raikou a little bit more because I like its design a bit more. It's always been a more, like, me fond of this Pokemon. That's absolutely a personal one, though. Entei movie was extremely good. Exactly. And the Raikou had its own, like, mini-series, which had the protagonists from Gold and Silver. For reference, if anyone hasn't watched that. There was one which had the protagonist trio of Gold and Silver. Not Silver himself. But the actual the other ones from them. Chronicles, yeah. Which had Raikou as, like, the mainstay of that. And it had, what the name? Butch Cassidy from Team Rocket on it. I loved that one when I was a kid. And, yeah, I was always very fond of that. So, yeah. Raikou gets a little bit over Entei for me, but I like them a lot. And, yeah, Suicune's been the least interesting of these three for me. But it's very cool. It is objectively just a cool mon, right? Now, Lugia and Ho-Ho. Lugia, the competitively worst box art legendary. I'm sorry, Lugia. I love you. You should have been water type. Oh yeah, Pokemon Chronicles, that's such a good theme. You're not wrong, I remember that. I will say, my favorite Pokemon anime ever, Pokemon Origins. If you haven't seen Pokemon Origins, go watch Pokemon Origins, trust me, it's the best. It's Red. It's Red's journey. It's so good. You can find it online as well, it's really easy to get. Mm-hmm. Well, the Squirtle's just like chomping down on Charmander? Yeah, that's brutal. I always had the soft spot in Pokemon Origins. Oh, a massive tangent here. Chat was screaming here. I always had one of the parts I loved in Pokemon Origins was Red looking in the Safari Zone, and then the Chansey just pops up and runs off, and he's like, "Wait a minute, you bastard!" That is like mood. I understand exactly what you're feeling, buddy. Chansey took me so long to catch. Took me so fucking long to catch. And obviously, there's the brawl between Mewtwo and Charizard in Pokemon Origins. There are very few anime battles that are that hype than Charizard versus Mewtwo in Pokemon Origins. If you haven't seen that, if you haven't seen at least that fight, this is the public service announcement. If you haven't at least seen that fight, look up Charizard versus Mewtwo Pokemon Origins. You will not be disappointed. It was hype as shit. One of my top 10 anime fights, genuinely. I love the fucking gut punch that Charizard did to Mewtwo. It just launched it. Ah, it was beautiful. But anyway, yes, Lugia. Lugia, you should have been water type. I'm gonna be honest, buddy. You should not be psychic flying. That's the only flaw I have with Lugia. I'm also convinced, by the way, that Lugia is going to get an upgrade. Or an alternate form, at least. In the next coming games. I don't know what. I will say, I do not know what they're going to do with it. But pretty much every other one of the old big-ass legendaries or old classic legendaries has had an altered form come out from now. Or a form or a Pokemon based on it, at least. Or like some sort of alternate. Lugia and Ho-Oh are the only two that haven't. So I'm expecting them to get something. Could get Megas in Legend ZA. I'd be down. I think that'd be sick. But I don't think they're going to, because I think Xerneas and Yveltal are going to get something for the special ones and that. But I do hope that Lugia and Ho-Oh get some love soon. Lugia, genuinely amazing Pokemon. I absolutely love it. I always have a soft spot for it as well. Lugia, A tier. Same with Ho-Oh, actually. I genuinely like both of these a lot. Lugia, I prefer the design. To use-wise, I like Ho-Oh more. I do have a big soft spot for Ho-Oh. Ho-Oh is an absolute powerhouse. Is a big one. It does exactly what you think it does. Ho-Oh doesn't do anything special at all. It has a monstrous attack stat and one of the highest special defenses of any Pokemon. 154 special defense on this massive behemoth of a bird. And it hits really hard. It gets Regenerator, so it'll always be healthy. It's so good. Yeah, I love Lugia and Ho-Oh. I have a big soft spot for both of them. Lugia gets Aeroblast as well. I really wish Lugia had better offensive stats. It's a pure tank, which is fair. That's a way to do it, right? But yeah, there's only so much. Or I suppose technically, I don't think Lugia is always considered the worst box art, because at least it's always in Ubers, as opposed to Kyurem Black, who, sorry buddy, I love you, but you're really bad. Okay. We get our first S tier, everybody. I adore Celebi, my personal favourite mythical. Has been since, God, for so fucking long. I always loved Celebi. I love my little onion fairy. She's so cute. And the Celebi movie. Need I say more? Celebi has the cutest crying Pokemon. And that's I know a lot of the other really, really cute ones, like Surskits and things like that. But no, Celebi is peak. Celebi is such an adorable little gremlin of a Pokemon. It's little fairy. I always love it. I pretty much always name my Celebi Tinkerbell. Or Tink, just in general. I can't not. And I absolutely love it. Celebi. I can't do the call. I used to be able to do the cry for Celebi very, very well when I was younger. Unfortunately, my voice has dropped. Unfortunately, puberty. But I do genuinely like Celebi a lot. Celebi is so unbelievably cute. And I want one. I want one. Even without its powers. Even if it was a terrible Pokemon, I genuinely think that Celebi is one of the probably top 3 cutest Pokemon in Pokemon. Is my personal thought. Okay. Regirock. I genuinely like all 3 of the classic Reggies quite a bit. Regirock, probably my favorite, honestly. I'd say Regirock gets A tier because of the meme, right? It's a meme of a Pokemon, but it is great. As for Regice is probably my least favorite, but I don't... Are you here? Yeah, I'd say put Regice in C. And I will say, I do like Regice, but it's got a few faults with it. One is its actual technical name is Regice. I refuse to call it Regice. It's Regice, right? Every other one is Reggie and then something else. Apart from Regice, which is Regice. But it's like, no. It's Regice. It's Reggie. I don't care what you say. You just named it wrong. You just did a typo in its original name and never changed it. And I will stand by that. As for Gurfy, Registeel. Registeel is actually the one I like to use in battle most. I genuinely do enjoy using Registeel. But for me, yeah, let's put him here. B tier. Regirock is just funnier for the memes. Also, I believe as a kid I used Regirock the most. I don't remember why I used Regirock the most, but I did. Back in Pokemon Emerald, when I first got Regirock, I believe I used Regirock the most of them. Of the 3 Reggies in that game. Which is, hey, I have a soft spot. Oh, they do that little Lati. Oh, Latias. I adore Latias as well. Latias, another one. I absolutely love this Pokemon, beyond imaginings. I put them, honestly, for me, they're on par with Celebi. I can't pick between the 2. Those 2 are perfectly matched with each other. Mega Latias as well is also S tier, but that's because I like using it. And, again, it still has the cuteness of Latias. I do wish it had a more distinct design from Mega Latios, but what can you do? Latios, I will say, is an A tier Pokemon with the Mega. I'm going to put the Megas next to them, unless there's, like, a massive market drop-off for them. I think they were all fine. But yeah, Latios is cool. Latias is one of my favorite Pokemon. Everybody knows it is. It's one of my favorites to use competitively. It's one of my favorites to use just generally. I love this little thing. Oh. She's so cute. Look at her. Yeah, so, but for me, Latias and Celebi are pretty much perfectly matched with each other. There is another Pokemon as well, which actually meets the same exact match as those 2. I have 3 Pokemon which are the exact matchups for that level of ungodly adorability, right? Now we get to my favorite trio in Pokemon, personally. Now, I will say, I have said this regularly, the original the Weather Trio, the first big monster trio. Because let's face it, Lugia and Ho-Oh, they're a powerful duo, right? And they're very strong Pokemon. But neither one really matched Mewtwo for power, right? As cool as Mewtwo is, to be honest, Ho-Oh kind of did match Mewtwo for power. But not originally because of how this physical special split worked. Like, Ho-Oh is a massive physical attacker, and Fire-type wasn't physical until Gen 4. Didn't have any physical moves. Then they made it physical, and it's very, very good. And the Legendary Beast, they didn't really match up to Mewtwo, right? And I'm gonna be honest, sorry Luke, you're great, but you don't really match up to Mewtwo in power. And then they made the Weather Trio, all three of which can hold their own, if not defeat comfortably Mewtwo. One of which comfortably defeats Mewtwo, pretty much every time. At least I'm pretty sure he does. In every matchup I've had of the pair of them, yeah, my boy crumples it. Kyogre first of all, though. So Kyogre is a top tier B. No, actually, let's be honest. It is an A tier Pokemon. About here, I'd say. I do like Kyogre a lot. Origin Kyogre does get a couple marks up as well. Origin Kyogre is sick. I genuinely am a big fan of all the Origin forms and the Megas of these three. They are all beautiful, beautiful mons. They feel like legendary Pokemon. That's always what I've had the point of. They feel legendary. And yeah, Kyogre is absolutely amazing. Origin Kyogre particularly so. But it's my least favourite of the Weather Trio, let's be perfectly honest here. Because next up we got Groudon, the giant red T-Rex, so I'm obviously going to love him. Groudon and Primal Groudon here. Once again, I do think Primal Groudon. You know what, actually, you're gonna go there. I absolutely adore Primal Groudon. Desolate Land is one of my favourite abilities in Pokemon. I'm gonna be honest. It's one of the coolest abilities. For me personally, a super sun that makes water not work, especially on a Pokemon like Primal Groudon, who would normally be quad weak to water, and he just isn't. He's immune to water because of his ability, unless Primal Kyogre comes out. Or I think Mega Rayquaza. I think Delta Stream overpowers the other weathers as well, but I'm not 100% on that. I believe it should. But yeah, I love Primal Groudon. Fire Ground is always what I think they intended for Groudon, but they went, well, we can't make him Fire Ground because he'll just lose to Kyogre. So they had to think of how do we make it like the original concept that we think Groudon should be, and they went, make it Fire type as well, but also give it a way to be just immune to water. Make it to have Super Sun, so that it immunes water. And I genuinely think that was the original concept, where they went, ooh, what if we do this? I think that Desolate Land was, like, the original idea that spawned the Primal Pokemon. Which I think is great. And I love it. However, Groudon, in nearly any other set of Pokemon, you would be my favorite. However, Raim is here. My Rayquaza, my boy, my favorite legendary Pokemon, and his Mega. I can't not put his Mega even higher. I love the Mega Rayquaza design. Mega Rayquaza, the strongest Pokemon ever made. The king himself, and I absolutely love Rayquaza. Yes, for anyone wondering, I have seen that there is a shiny Rayquaza event happening over Christmas in Pokemon Scarlet. You bet your ass I'm gonna try and get one. I'm getting my own. I love Rayquaza so much, and if they make, I think they're gonna be he's gonna be available for Pokemon Legends ZA because they want to put in the mythics again, like the Ubers. Not even all the Ubers. All the Mega Legendaries and stuff. I think they want to put all the Megas. And I mean, they can't not have the king of the Megas. Right? He's such a good Pokemon in every aspect. He was my boy. Rayquaza has always been, if I pick a Legendary, it's Rayquaza. If I pick one, it's Rayquaza. Every time. I just love him. Best shiny in Pokemon in my personal opinion. And if you have a different opinion, you're probably wrong. I can't help it. I love this guy. He's really powerful, and I genuinely love using him. I love the design. He's just so peak. He is peak. He is one of my 3 favorite Pokemon tied with my original starter Pokemon and my ace Pokemon. Rayquaza is tied with Charizard and Garchomp for my favorite Pokemon. And it genuinely changes between the three. I regularly say this. So, yeah. I love him, and I love Mega Rayquaza. Mega Rayquaza, a lot of people go over-designed. No, he's supposed to be like that. If there's going to be any Pokemon that I'm going to let slide a bit of over-designing, it's on a Mega of one of the strongest legendaries ever made. Because Rayquaza holds up against a lot of the crazy bullshit powerhouses that have come out since him in Power Creep. Regular Rayquaza still holds up against those. Mega Rayquaza eclipses most of them. I think there are like 3 or 4 Pokemon that can challenge Mega Rayquaza if you're not counting Pokemon that are literally not playable. Like Eternamax Eternatus. I believe Mega Rayquaza has 2 Pokemon that beat it because they're faster. And that's it. I believe in a straight-up fight, Koraidon and Miraidon beat it, but I do believe they're probably going to get nerfed soon. Considering they are anything goes Pokemon. Like how Calyrex Shadow Rider is anything goes purely because they added Terra. So. But yeah, I love Rayquaza and he will never not be my top spot. Jirachi! I genuinely love Jirachi. So you are getting S tier. You're also incredibly cute. Not as cute as Celebi. But you are definitely one of my absolute favorites for mythicals as well. You're a good step above Mew for me personally. I've also used this thing competitively, and it's disgusting competitively, let me tell you. Yes, I have used the disgustingly awful pain in the arse build of Choice Scarfed Ironhead with max attack and max speed. You can make Jirachi do nearly anything. That's the one I like to do with it with Serene Grace. It's a lot of fun. I recommend trying it out. It can clutch you a win that you have no right of taking. And also, look at him. He's so cute. He's a little star. Now for Deoxys and all its alternate forms. So, here's where we get interesting. Regular Deoxys, I'm going to put as A tier. Right? I quite like regular Deoxys. It's just fine. It's a classic design. That's the main one. Deoxys Attack, I like a lot. I like Deoxys Attack a shitload. I actually like it more than Mega Mewtwo White. I love using Deoxys Attack because it's very clear how you gotta beat this thing. Now, I will say, if you ever use... No, I hate speed. If you use a choice... not a choice scarf. A focus sash on Deoxys Attack, you're a fucking coward. Okay, I know it's obvious to get a focus sash on it, but come on, why? It's cringe. It's one of those things, there's certain items that I think is cringe to use on certain Pokemon. Deoxys Attack with a focus sash is one of the biggest, like, why? What the fuck is wrong with you? This isn't fun. Yeah, because it's supposed to be a glass cannon that gets one shot by priority, right? Unfortunately, there's no priority... There's no moves that are fast enough. Like, any Pokemon that outright outspeeds it probably isn't hitting it with a multi-hit move. The problem is, adding a Focus Sash to it means that it's going to start causing degenerate problems with other things. Because you either have to double outspeed it in a doubles match, or you've got to go with... Because you see Deoxys Attack a lot in doubles. Expanding Force teams, mostly with Psychic Terrain. Because Psychic Terrain stops priority, which is the usual main weakness of Deoxys. But you can still outspeed Deoxys, which is fine. Unless you're using a Focus Sash, in which case it doesn't matter that you outspeed it. So yeah, cringe, don't do it. I have regularly gone up against it in doubles Yu-Yu. Not in doubles Yu-Yu. in doubles, Nat decks, don't put a Focus Sash on it. If you put a Focus Sash on it, you cringe. Commit to your Pokemon strategy. Don't go, oh, well, I have to run this thing because it's the objectively right choice. It's like, no, use something more interesting. Focus Sash is cringe on this particular Pokemon. So yeah, that's my view for it. But I do love Deoxys attack. It's my preferred Deoxys form. I always have had a soft spot for it. Deoxys defense, B tier. It's cool. I like the, like, Registeel kind of look. I guess. I think that was what they were going for with it, to make it kind of look like Registeel. And I think it works. I think it's a cool Pokemon design. Not really my style, personally, but it is fine. Deoxys Speed. Now. I actively dislike Deoxys Speed. I do not like this Pokemon at all. Not as much as Zapdos. Yeah, Zapdos is worse. But this Pokemon is weird to me because the way you have to run it is... So it's got insane speed. It's got 180 speed, right? It's the 3rd or 4th fastest Pokemon, I think, in existence. I think it's only beaten by Electrode. It might not be beaten by Electrode. It's definitely beaten by Regieleki, right? And it's obviously also beaten by the things that are faster than Regieleki, which is Iron Bundle and Flutter Mane if they're built speed. With Protosynthesis. You know how it goes. But Deoxys Speed is Deoxys piss the opponent off form. Because all it does is it sets up hazards, it sets up statuses, and is a generally aggravating Pokemon. It's not interesting. All it does is got pretty good defense for Deoxys. It's the 2nd tankiest Deoxys form. It's the fastest Deoxys form. It's also the worst attacking Deoxys form, and I don't really like it. I prefer defense. Defense has got some cool strategies you can do with it that are entertaining, including, like, you can piss people off with defense, but it's pretty honest in how it does it. Deoxys Speed, it sets up hazards and dies. It's not good. I don't rate it good enough to do it. Sure, utility is handy, but I'd rather have a different Pokemon do utility, personally. I'd rather have something that does different jobs, rather than... Deoxys Speed just does set up a bunch of hazard things and some statuses, and that's it. And I don't think that's particularly... Yes, it's useful, but it's also... This entire Pokemon is demolished by Rapid Spin. So it's nothing special to me. I don't like it. I don't think it's particularly useful. There's a reason it dropped a few tiers. It also went back up and got banned, I think, when it dropped those tiers. Because it is objectively good at what it does. But what it does, I find to be just aggravating, and it became banned, I believe, not because it itself was too strong, but because the only answers for it in those tiers were so bad that it wasn't worth running them. Because anything that was comfortably able to deal with it was in the tier above because it was objectively insane. So yeah, I do not like Deoxys attack, Deoxys Speed. Never really liked it. My least favorite Deoxys form. Okay, yeah, Uxie. Uxie is... I don't really think much about Uxie. It's fine. It's the tanky one of the Lake Spirits. I'm not a huge fan of the Lake Spirits in general. So Mesprit gets into B tier, into C tier as well. But a bit above it. I do like Mesprit a little bit. I do have a shiny one in Pokorogue, which has a bit of a fun, like, nostalgia bit for me, I guess. But it's fine. Azelf, however, Azelf gets another tier. I like Azelf because I like how it works. It just has 3 stats that are 125, which is good. It's like a prototype for Flutter Mane, is what I always think. Azelf feels to me prototype Flutter Mane. It has really good offensive stats and no defense whatsoever. Or, like, bad defense, which I think is fun. And I quite like it. I like that you can run it physically and specially at the same time quite often, and it's just a silly little Pokemon, and I quite like it. The only one of the three that I think is actually quite good as well. So, Azelf, you get a beat it. I like Azelf. A little bit less than Suicune. I think Suicune has a better design. But Azelf, also I think Azelf has the best design of those three, personally. I don't really know what about it. I just think it does. Genuinely. Okay. Now we're getting to some big boys. We're getting to the big set. We obviously, the Late Guardians Gen 4 legendaries. So it's the start of the massive line of Gen 4 legendaries. Yeah, there's a lot of legendaries in Gen 4. A significant portion of the Pokedex in Gen 4 is legendaries. It has, if you take out the legendaries, the smallest Pokedex of any gen. Fun fact. Smaller than Gen 2. Because so much of Gen 4 was the massive array of legendaries, because it was a huge, like, world-building type of gen, that they added, like, the Arc Power equivalents, right? And some really, really cool Pokemon, because it's adding, like, creation myths stuff to Pokemon. Right, Dialga, my favorite of these particular set. Dialga, I love you. I love you, boy. I adore Dialga so much. The Roaring Time Dragon, I love it. Roar of Time. I love its design. The original Dragon Steel type, which obviously always holds a soft spot because Steel is one of my favorite types. Dragon is my favorite type. And Dragon Steel is such a good combo. I genuinely love this Pokemon a lot. It does such a good job as well. Now, Dialga's nothing crazy power-wise. Design-wise, though, it's great. And you can definitely make it work with how it kind of goes. It is a really, really, really cool design for a Pokemon. And I love it. It's also one of the heaviest Pokemon in existence. Palkia, I do think Palkia's design is significantly worse than Dialga, but it still is an S-tier Pokemon. Even if it's low S-tier, Palkia's great. What can I say? It's so cool. It's never been my Pokemon, though. I've always been, out of the pair, Dialga. I've always been Dialga out of those two. Not out of the trio, I will say. But out of those two, yeah. I'm a Dialga fan. But Palkia is also sick. Easy Bake! Oh, my Heatran. My beloved Heatran. If everyone didn't know, in my original foray into competitive Pokemon, where my friends had a Pokemon Draft League, my first ever attempt, where I knew almost nothing about how to do Pokemon competitively, I just was going off of gut instinct. I was like, I like this Pokemon, let's pick it. And I ended up coming third in the entire tournament. Effectively tied for second, but it was the 1-on-1 match. Was my first match, which I literally had no idea what I was doing. Which, if it happened later in the season, I think I could have won it. So, I had a Heatran on my team. It was one of my early picks, and I named it Easy Bake. And Easy Bake the Heatran was an absolute terror for most of my opponents in that league. It was one of my ace Pokemon. It wasn't my actual ace. My actual ace was definitely Gooba, which solidified her as the strongest Pokemon as my ace Pokemon was that tournament, with how well she performed. My first pick, and she was wonderful. But Heatran, I think, was my third or fourth pick. It was a very solid pick for my team. Oh, I remember. It was my... Yeah, I think Heatran was my third pick because the Pokemon I was going to pick got taken by somebody else. I was going to pick Tinkaton, because, you know, Fairy Steel, kind of nice. I would have probably picked Heatran anyway. And Heatran is so good. Heatran is so fucking good. And I love it. I have a soft spot for it. And I named mine Easy Bake for the Easy Bake oven. Because it just fit so well. And it actually broke a lot of the chat at the time. When they saw the name Easy Bake on the Heatran. They fucking loved it. So yeah. Okay, Regigigas! I absolutely love Regigigas. People know I love Regigigas. Regigigas, A tier. Is it good? No. Can you make it work? Yes. I love Regigigas. He's so fun. He's really, really fun to use. Because it's a challenge. I've used him in ZU, which is where he usually is found. And if you can get him going, if you can make Regigigas work, he's insane. He is. He's a crazy powerful Pokemon. He's also... His existence allows some really, really fun strategies as well. In doubles or in singles. Because in doubles, you can run shit like the Weezings with neutralizing gas, which is cool. To, like, get rid of his only weakness. Because, let's face it, Regigigas is a crazy strong Pokemon. So he's really, really fun. Really, really powerful in the right circumstances. You have to play him very smart. But you can absolutely play him very, very smart. And he's very, very, very good when you do. So yeah. I genuinely love Regigigas. He's fun. I love his design as well. He's like he's just a behemoth. Right? And he's objectively just cool. Okay, let's get this out of the way. My favorite Gen 4 Legendary. I love Dialga. To be honest, I like Dialga more than regular Giratina form. Giratina Origin, however, is one of my favorites. I like him more than regular Groudon and Mega Latias. I love him about the same as Primal Groudon. Those two are very even for me. I'd say maybe, yeah, Origin Giratina probably gets just above Groudon. I genuinely love this mon. I really like using it. He was actually one of my Ubers Pokemon. Like, Origin Giratina has always been one of my standard Ubers Pokemon. I ran a really weird set with him. Because I ran him special. You can run him either way. He's a tank, primarily. But I ran him with, what was it? Defog, Will-O-Wisp, Hex, and Draco Meteor. And let me tell you, most people just didn't know how the fuck to respond to this guy. They just didn't. They had no answers. So, yeah, he's genuinely a lot of fun and would sweep people regularly. His job wasn't to sweep. His job was to, like, be the support mon. But he ended up just smashing through things because he's still really strong. Cresselia, I like Cresselia. Cresselia is fun. I would put Cresselia a comfortable A tier. I have a soft spot for the little moon duck thing. It's just a fun Pokemon, you know. I think it's got a really cool design. I've always been a fan of moon Pokemon, in general. I think moon Pokemon are absolutely awesome. I think this is an interestingly good take on one as well. I also have to thank this Pokemon for being an absolute joy to fight against in the original Pokemon Draft League I was in. So for reference, one of my opponents had a Cresselia on their team. And he kept spamming out fairy moves. Which obviously would have been a bit of a problem for my team. I also didn't realize, at the time I didn't actually know that Cresselia had Levitate, for reference. I simply wasn't trying to look up stuff about a Pokemon unless I knew that Pokemon was an objective threat. And I didn't know much about Pokemon at that time. Because, definitely not the newer gens. Not that Cresselia is that new. But at that point, I hadn't even played Gen 4. Okay? So cut me some slack. It was a while ago. But I didn't know about Cresselia. I knew Cresselia was a cool Pokemon. It was tanky. So, one of my opponents, the one who actually had the Urshifu on their team, had a Cresselia. But they had an interesting way for their Cresselia. So basically, they were spamming fairy moves into my dragons, right? which normally you'd think, oh, I need to deal with this. I knew it was a bait. I knew the Cresselia was built purely durability, and I was looking at the damage the Cresselia was doing with Dazzling Gleam to Garchomp, which is super effective against. It was barely scratching Goober. So I just went, okay, and just tore the rest of their team apart with Goober. I hard focused down the other side and just let the Cresselia do its thing. And eventually we just beat the Cresselia to death because it was against most of my team, because it didn't have much of an opportunity to actually do anything because I dealt with all the actual threats. That was genuinely what won me it. The fact that the Cresselia couldn't really do anything, but if they switched in on the wrong move, Goober would have smashed their team to a pulp. They had to be very, very careful because of Goober. And I like that. I like making people nervous. I think it was Goober and... yeah, it was Goober and Darude. Darude's one of my Tyrannotars with the option. So both of them were weak to fairy moves, but they just didn't care because they were both tanky. Because Tyranitar is a very tanky Pokemon, just outright. Particularly in its own Sandstorm. And Garchomp is another very tanky Pokemon. So I have a soft spot for Cresselia because hell, it helped me win one of the hardest matches. Manaphy and Fion. I do like both of these Pokemon a lot. I'm going to put them here. And there's a weird reason why. So, Manaphy, I think, is adorable, right? I think it's so cute. And Fion, normally I wouldn't have put Fion this high, except for one reason. I've got a massive soft spot for Fion because when I was playing through the first of the Scarlet Violet DLCs, which I did a bit of it on stream ages ago. You can't see the VoD because I didn't upload the VoD. It was just a thing that I was doing at the time to burn some time. I was chatting. There were some viewers watching, and one of the viewers went, "Hey," was just chatting and chatting and chatting. Great viewer. And they were chatting and chatting and chatting, and they essentially went, "Hey, a buddy of mine was planning on doing a shiny Egglock, right?" And they said, but they end up not doing it, and not intending on doing it. So I've just got a bunch of shiny eggs. Spare. Do you want one? So I just went, I mean, if you've got one going, sure, why not? I will gladly take one. It's just a bit of fun, right? Andy went, is there anyone you want particular? And I went, surprise me. So he generally just picked one out of like 7 boxes of shiny eggs he had. And we did a trade. And the shiny I got was a Fion. And I have had a soft spot for that. So I've got a viewer-made shiny Fion on my Pokemon Scarlet Violet save. So it all just a soft spot for me because it just felt good, right? Thank you again to that person. I'm sorry, I can't remember your name off the top of my head. It was like a year or so ago. It was like late last year. But yeah. It was just a bit of fun, and I do genuinely like it, so I have a soft spot for that. So, that has bumped Fiona up to an A tier on its own, because, yeah, I have a shiny one. It's a good shiny as well. I do like shiny Fiona. It is very cute. Okay, Darkrai. Oh, Darkrai. Darkrai. Now, I will say this outright. Also, it's buddy, one of my regulars. I don't know if you're watching it, buddy. I know it's your favorite Pokemon. If Spigot is here, I know it's his favorite Pokemon. I do think Darkrai is a very, very cool mod. I will say this right here, right now. Darkrai is a fucking cool Pokemon. However, I personally have always had a bit of bitterness towards this Pokemon. Because, me and a friend, when we were kids, used to play Pokemon a lot. They were a person who was way too into Pokemon. They had a competitive set for every Pokemon, and they had a shiny of every Pokemon. And each one was max level with a perfect IVs, the whole shebang, right? They were way too into Pokemon. And we used to regularly play, like, Pokemon Colosseum and stuff like that, right? On their ones. And it's the ones that you can basically put your Pokemon from your games into the game and just fight each other, right? And they used the Darkrai. That was one of their Pokemon. Their main Pokemon was Kyogre. For the Legends matches we had. Because we used to put, like, different tiers. So they had, in their Legend team, or their big team, a Kyogre and a Darkrai. I had no idea what Darkrai did. And then I got sleep hacked into to death. With all the other Pokemon I was with. So, it was miserable. So fighting Darkrai is miserable, and I always have a bit of bitterness towards Darkrai. But I do say Darkrai is absolutely fucking sick. So, Darkrai, A tier for me. Most people would put it in S tier. Not me. I don't like it that much. Because I've got a little bit of angry to it. But it is a very, very cool Pokemon. It's objectively just awesome. So, yeah. Comfortable A. Shaman! You know Shaman's getting S tier. I love the hedgehog. I love the little grass hedgehog. It's so cute. It is so cute. It's just awesome. I love it. I actually had one of these on... Does anyone remember that weird Discord Pokemon catching game? That was on for a while. So you could, like, level up your Pokemon and, like, catch them by just chatting with people in servers and stuff like that. It was a lot of fun. And I actually had a Shaman in that. It was the only mythical me or a bunch of friends had ever actually seen. Or it was only legendary I think we'd seen as well. And I just had a little Shaman, and it was cute. It's a Shaman. I have a soft spot for it. It's very adorable. It's also tiny. It's so cute. I like it. I also like hedgehogs. I like actual hedgehogs. I don't like Sonic the Hedgehog type hedgehog. I think that he looks dumb. But actual hedgehog-looking hedgehog, yeah, I love it. Arceus. People know my opinion on Arceus. It is a very, very cool Pokemon. I do genuinely like it, and I like using it. It's a lot of fun. I wasn't going to do it on a lot of the other tier lists. I was giving it a bit of shit. But for a legendary, even though it's a mythical, I guess, but yeah, you know what I mean. I established this at the beginning of the video. Arceus is cool. It is. I do prefer a lot of the other Pokemon to it, though. It's a very, very good Pokemon. But it's never been the one for me, you know? I've never really personally gone, oh, Arceus, that's the Pokemon for me. No, it's a cool Pokemon. And I get why people fucking love it. It's the big one. It's 720 base stat total. The highest base stat total of any Pokemon. Outside of Megas. And it is very cool. But not for me, you know? It's cool. Don't mind using it, but not my choice. Victini, little Victory. Ah, I love Victini. Yeah, Victini there, above Origin Palkia. In fact, you know what? I'm putting Origin Palkia here. Origin Palkia is still S tier, but I like regular Palkia a lot more. And these other Pokemon, I think, deserve a higher tier than Origin Palkia than the Trojan Horse. Not as bad, but... Okay. Cobalion, Terrakion, Virizion. We've still got so many. This one's gonna be a long one, ladies and gentlemen. Just strap in. Why did I not get an extra drink? So, these ones. I will say, none of them are that impressive to me. I'm going to be perfectly honest here. I do like Terrakion the best. But none of them really go, oh, this is the one I want. This is an awesome Pokemon. Not really. They're all fine. They don't really speak to me, right? None of these Pokemon really shine that brightly. I'm not too bothered. Like, Cobalion and Terrakion are cool. I'd at least consider using those two in a battle. Really. Terrakion is my favorite of the three. I've said that for a while. They're based on the Three Musketeers, obviously, and in at least two of the cases, they're pretty good. Virizion sucks. I'm going to be honest. Virizion is just bad. It's not a good Pokemon at all. The other two are actually both quite good. Cobalion is terrifying with body press, honestly. Like, some Iron Defense body press stuff. It gets some good special moves as well, so it can really do some entertaining work with, like, Volt switching and stuff. It's pretty cool. And Terrakian's the big stompy ball type thing. It just does... It does exactly what you think it does. It just hits hard. It just smacks into stuff. Good attack stat. Very offensive typing. Rock fighting is, like, probably the single most offensive typing in Pokemon. For, like, beat down physical damage, I can't think of a type combo that's better at just doing physical damage. Right? So, yeah. I do think it is pretty cool. But they're C-tier. They're not cool enough to be B-tier. They are not. And then I'd rather use a lot of other Pokemon than these. I'm sorry. Now we get to Tornadus. So, we have to get to all the genies that aren't Landorus. So, Tornadus first. I don't... Okay, I'm going to be honest. My favorite for Tornadus has dropped further than it had previously. I do not like Tornadus. I know a lot of people that love it. It's the first flying type, well, the first actual flying type, like the first primary flying type Pokemon. And the first pure flying type Pokemon. I get it. I absolutely get it. I understand why you love this mon a lot. But I don't. It's an aggravating support mon. You can do a lot of work with it, but it's just dull. It's just dull, and I don't really like it. So, Tornadus. You know what? I'll be more generous. Regular Tornadus gets up to C. I don't mind its design. I don't mind its design. I know what they were going for with the Guardian Beasts kind of designs for Tornadus Therian, but don't really like its design, so unfortunately, to D tier you go. Thundurus, I do actually like the color scheme of Thundurus a fair bit more. But regular Thundurus is, again, it's a C tier for me. However, and that's regular Thundurus specifically. And you can make it work. I did see a video where it's like, Thundurus is apparently the most nerfed Pokemon in Pokemon, which is fair. Everything it sounds about it sounds awful to play against. But I never had to play against that. So, I don't really have any anonymity towards Thundurus for that. Thundurus Therian, however, I genuinely like Thundurus Therian. Thundurus Therian is pretty sick. I love... Again, the Guardian Beast design, it's the Azure Dragon, and it looks cool. I genuinely think that it's a good design, Thundurus Therian. And the 145 special attack doesn't do it injustice. It's one of my favorite electric types. So yeah. Respect to it. I like it. Also, entertainingly, by the way, just to let you guys know, apparently this chart considers the Paradox Legendaries as legendaries, which is an interesting case to make. But yeah, fair enough. Okay. Aww. My Reshiram. I love Reshiram. People know I love Reshiram a lot. My white dragon. The original Fire Dragon as well. The first ever released Fire Dragon. I love this thing. It is one of my favorite... Yeah, about there. It's one of my favorite legendaries to use. I love it. I love its roar as well. Like, my god, does Reshiram have a good cry. I genuinely love this Pokemon so much. It's such a fun one to use. It is obviously pretty much it's one of my two most used Pokemon in Pokerogue, because I got a Reshiram quite early. That Reshiram is incredibly scary in that game as well. But it's just cool. I absolutely love it. It does such an obscene amount of work. Is the important bit. It does an obscene amount of, like, power and damage. It's an insane Pokemon, and I absolutely love using it. I think it's one of the best designs. I think it's my favorite design from the Gen 5 legendaries. It's between two. But I really, really like it. So, yeah. Reshiram, my beloved. Zekrom, I do really like Zekrom as well, I will say. A lot of people go, why do you prefer Reshiram to Zekrom? I just like the vibes of Reshiram more. But I do genuinely like Zekrom a lot. Zekrom, you're going about here. I do prefer you to Palkia. Not quite as much as Jirachi, maybe. But I absolutely love Zekrom. An absurd amount, I'm going to be honest. In fact, you know what? Reshiram, let's put you here. Again, these three are even. Origin Giratina, Reshiram, and Primal Groudon are all about even for me. They are a step down, I will say, from, in my favour, for Latias and Celebi. But there's a very strict tiering. Here's the first tier bar between Rayquaza and these two. There's the next bar between these two and these three. And then everything else is below them. But in terms of, they're all good. Landorus. My personal favourite of the genies, genuinely. I've had the most trouble with this, but I've also had the most hilarity dealing with it. Landorus is fun to use. I know loads of people go, oh, he's broken. And I know people go, he's taken the... I should hate him. A lot of people go, I should hate him, because he takes the role the Garchomp takes, right? It's what most people use him for. Which I get. I don't. I'd rather use both. I don't mind using both of them. I think they both do a different job. Because I don't use Garchomp for the same job that I would use Landorus for. I am still a fan of offensive Garchomp. Whereas with Landorus, I like to use defensive Landorus. So, why not? Right? It's fun. And you can have both of them do different jobs. You can have both of them on the same team. You can have both of them on different teams. I prefer Garchomp to it, but I don't mind Landorus. I don't think that liking Garchomp should make you not like another Pokemon that does a similar job. So, even though I just prefer a different Pokemon to it. Now we get to the three Curums. So, regular Curum is an A-tier mon. I do very much like... Actually, no, regular Curum's above. Yeah, I think maybe there. Regular Curum is a lot of fun. I do like it. My first legendary that I got in not in Legends ZA. Yeah, I got it in Legends ZA. No, the game isn't out yet. We don't even know if it's going to be in. No, my first legendary in Pokerogue was Curum. Which is cool. I do very much like it. But it's kind of unfortunately for it eclipsed by Curum White. Curum White is an awesome Pokemon. I've said this before. It's insanely powerful. Curum White. Curum White is the... We made Curum scary good. I do prefer Reshiram to it, I will say. But Curum White is basically more powerful Reshiram, to be honest. I do love the design so much of Curum White. And I've wanted to use this thing more. But I don't tend to play in the tiers that it's legal very much. But I do very much like it. It does exactly what it says on the tin. It's just a stupid, powerful, special attacking legendary dragon. It's all it is. And I will say, Curum Black, as much as I prefer the regular design, it just isn't as fun to use. It takes a lot of effort to make Curum Black work at all. Whereas Curum White does exactly what it says on the tin, and that does play a lot. It doesn't take much effort to make it work, but it works very well. Whereas with Curum Black, you have to put in a shit ton of effort to make it work, and it does okay then. And that's the unfortunate bit. It needs specific things to go right to make it really good, whereas Curum White, it's just good. It's just good. I do prefer Curum Black's design to Zekrom, though, I will say. I do really like the design. Curum Black has an absolutely amazing design. I just wish it got some better ice moves. Genuinely. Give it some... Give it freaking Icicle Crash or something. It needs it. Or give us a Freeze Dry that's physical. I'd be down for that. That's another big one. My favorite ice move is Freeze Dry. while Kyurem Black gets Freeze Dry, it's not particularly good with it because it's a physical attacker. Kyurem White gets Freeze Dry, and it's a special attack with 170 special attack. So anything that Freeze Dry works on is dead. Okay. Now for my least favorite of a set of Pokemon that I didn't like any of. Keldeo, I'm going to be honest. I don't like Keldeo so much, I might even put Zapdos as a higher rank to it. I don't like Keldeo at all. Never have, never will. I think it's a dumb Pokemon. Don't like its design at all. Don't like what it does. It's good. I'll give it credit. It is good. But I really don't like its design. I don't even like the character it's based on, particularly. Is it Mercurial? I cannot remember, isn't it? Is it D'Artagnan? I think it's D'Artagnan. I can't remember the name. But the little upstart musketeer, who is cool, sure he's the protagonist of the three musketeers, he's never been my favourite character, I'm gonna be honest. So, yeah, Keldeo, unfortunately, by association with a character that is alright, but not my favourite, and I don't like your design at all, you get D tier. Below Zapdos, which is really, really bad. I went from a D tier to an S tier. I love Hatsune Miku. Yeah. I'd say that both of these deserve about here. Just behind Origin Dialga. I love Meloetta and I love Pirouette Meloetta. They're both really cool. I love the vibe. I love... They're quite complicated to make work in battle, I will 100% say it. They're not the best in terms of what they do. But they are really good designs, really cool lore, all the stuff for them, it's just so good. I need to get around to finishing the Pokedex and Scarvi so these things actually start turning up. I haven't got the one, I don't have Pokemon Home yet, and I have been preoccupied with other things, so I didn't get the shiny one when that event was on. Genesect's cool. Not really I'm not really a huge fan of it though, so I'll put Genesect. It's cool. It always reminds me of Metal Gear, right? So. Excuse me. Whew. That was painful. But yeah, what was I talking about? Where am I? Oh yeah, Pokemon. But yes. Genesect is a pretty cool Pokemon. I've never used it or had any particular urge to use it though, so I can't really give it that much of a crazy review, but I think its design's pretty cool. I think it reminds me of the Metal Gears, which I quite like Metal Gear, so yeah. Okay, Xerneas and Yveltal. I'm going to state this now. I like both of these a lot. Xerneas is an absolute titan. Everybody knows it is. I actually really like using this thing with... I like Geomancy. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with this mon in Legends ZA. Because they are going to do something with it. I'm convinced of it. They're going to do something with Xerneas. I've also never been destroyed by Xerneas in competitive Pokemon particularly. So I don't have the bitterness that this Pokemon can cause, but I like it. I know that Xerneas combined with Mega Primal Groudon is like one of the strongest pairings you can physically get in Pokemon. So they are cool. I like them. I like Geomancy. I think it's awesome. And Yveltal is about on par. I really like both of them. Also, Oblivion Wing is one of the coolest names in Pokemon. But yeah, genuinely, I like both of these a lot. They're really fun legendaries. I genuinely think they're both awesome. I've used them a little bit each. Not crazy amount, but I have used these both a very small amount. They're both objectively just awesome Pokemon. I love both the designs. I love the shinies for both of them. I love Bacon. I love Bacon Yveltal a lot. I just think they're awesome. So yeah. Zygarde now. Okay, I'll put Zygarde in some interesting spots. So regular 50% is cool. Good design. 10%, again, it's an A tier, it's lower A tier. I think the dog looks a bit weird. with Robot. But yeah, sure. But eclipsing the others, I love Zygarde Complete. I hope that in Legends ZA, because we know we're getting something to do with Zygarde, because it is the Z Pokemon. It is the Z Pokemon, right? So it will be something to do with it. I hope we get to just see Zygarde Complete. I'd love it if Zygarde Complete on its own is just a Pokemon, or if it's a Mega version, is just this on its own. If Mega Zygarde is... If they make a Mega Zygarde, or Zygarde 1000% or something like that, and it's just this form with maybe a stat bump to make it even more powerful, I'd be very happy. I genuinely like Zygarde a lot. It's so cool. It's basically the legendary form of Garchomp in a lot of cases. It's a giant walking tank. It also got a bit of a disservice by only really being in Pokemon Sun and Moon, not in its own segment. So it's kind of forgotten about. I'm happy it's finally getting some recognition, because it is an objectively awesome Pokemon. Okay, now Diancie. Little mythical Diancie. I like Diancie. Regular Diancie, I'd say, goes here. Mega Diancie goes about here. I do love the Crystal Cake. Monstrous Pokemon. Everyone's seen... people have seen me use this Pokemon. It's really fun to use Diancie. I genuinely enjoy it. I think it's a very, very cool Pokemon. And the Mega is awesome. Only Gen 6 Mega currently in existence. I hope they are definitely going to do more with Legends EA. But it's the only currently Gen 6 Pokemon which gets a Mega, which to me, honestly, on its own, is gonna, like, put it into a good position. And I love its design. So, yeah. Hoopa and Hoopa Unbound. So, I think these Pokemon are pretty cool, but I don't really rate them as highly as I think a lot of people do. So, I think they're both going about here. They are cool. I will give people credit. If these are your favorites, I get it. They're neat. Not for me, though. Alright, so they're getting a solid B tier. Nothing bad, nothing good. Volcanion, the only fire-water type. And honestly, I wouldn't even blame if this is the only ever fire-water type. It's cool. I do like Volcanion. Firewater's a weird one that they have to do a lot to make it work as a Pokemon. And I think Volcanion nails it as a concept. I think it is great. If they never make another fire-water type and this is the only one they ever make, I'd be okay with it. I do think that there's a good chance they'll make more eventually. I think it would make sense to make more, like some non-mythical versions and stuff like that. But if they didn't, I wouldn't be opposed. Type Null and Silverleaf, Baby Arceus. They're both alright. I've never been crazy about these. I do think that Silverleaf has a pretty fun design. Obviously, it's the type-changing Pokemon and stuff like that. It basically does Arceus' thing, it's just weaker. So yeah, it gets B tier. Pretty solid B tier. You know, it's not bad at all. I think it is pretty cool. But for legendaries, there's a lot cooler. Okay, now for the Tapus. People know I love the Tapus. I think Gen 7 has some of the best legendaries overall. Sorry, Silverlane, type null. You're fine. Tapu Koko. Crazy good, man. I love this thing. I've actually seen a lot of this Pokemon in fairly recent Pokemon history, because I've been playing a lot of National Dex doubles, right? And this is one of the most common Pokemon I've seen in National Dex doubles. Not for any bad reason at all. It's very good. It does Rillaboom quite nicely as well, which I'm always appreciative of. Because it fucks with the terrain wars with Rillaboom. So. And with busted as fuck psychic terrain teams. So you do see this quite a lot. And I like it. It's a very fun Pokemon to use. Wish it had better physical moves, genuinely. It's unfortunately not got very many good physical moves despite being a physical attacker. I kind of wish this thing's physical and special attack was switched, because then it would be a lot better. But it's still a very cool Pokemon and very fun to use, so I like it. Tapu Lele, my favorite of the Tapus. You are going here. And now I did say Psychic Terrain can be kind of busted. Tapu Lele is not the busted problem one. Honestly, I personally think that the Pokemon that set Psychic Terrain aren't the problems. It's the Pokemon that they do stuff with. And the terrain itself. But I think the Psychic Terrain as a concept is really cool. I just think it needs to be nerfed. I think all terrain needs to be nerfed a bit. I think the 50% bonus is way too much for the damage boost. The other effects, I like them. Psychic Terrain, no priority is... Yeah, makes sense. It's cool. As much as I kind of dislike that aspect, it's a cool concept, right? And they all have something like that. I just think Expanding Force needs to be nerfed about 80%. Power. I think it needs a significant power drop. But the Pokemon themselves are cool, and I don't mind them at all. Tapu Boo Boo, I'm sorry. You're my least favorite design-wise of the Tapus, and you're the worst of the Tapus because there's a better Pokemon that's not a legendary that just does your job. I don't really like it. Tapu Boo Boo. However, I think Tapu, oh, what is this one's name? This is the one you don't really see. Oh, yeah, actually, I have seen this. There is Psychic Terrain teams. I can't remember the name of this one. Tapu Fini. I didn't actually have to type it. I just forgot. I just remembered its name. Tapu Fini. It's cool. I like Fairy Terrain a lot, hilariously, despite being a Dragon trainer. Mostly because Fairy Terrain is really, really hysterical. It's got really, really funny moments in Pokemon. I also have a particular anonymity to grassy terrain. As much as I do love it, it nerfs Earthquake, which annoys me. I get exactly why, but it's specifically Earthquake. Come on, guys. Okay. Get in the bag, Nebby. I like Nebby. Nebby is so cute. Yeah, I'd say about there. Back with Shaman. Cosmog is great. Cosmoem... It earns S tier by the fact that it's one of the heaviest Pokemon in existence, which I find hysterical. So... And I do like it. I like the idea of it. It's also very, very cool. And also, it makes sense. It's like I like the egg turns into something super. I like that concept. And you all know, Solgaleo is a very, very well-deserving S tier. And Lunala is another one for this set. It's a quartet now. I fucking love Lunala. Lunala is one of my absolute favorite Pokemon. One of my favorite legendaries. I love using this thing. This is also a Pokemon that's on my teams with Giratina, with Origin Giratina and with Rayquaza. Lunala tends to be my special sweeper of those ones. I love this Pokemon. I think this Pokemon has peak design. Genuinely, I absolutely love this thing. Great moveset, great abilities. Oh, it's so good. It's my favorite thing. It's the closest thing that it's come to making me buy, like, the second version of a game over the primary one. So basically, I always pick, basically, one that you could consider the light side, right, of the game. So I always pick the ones that have, like, the fiery or protagonist, I guess you'd call them, version of the game. So I picked Fire Red. I picked Red. I would picked Ruby if it hadn't been for Emerald. I picked Diamond in Diamond and Pearl. I pick if Platinum wasn't the option. I pick White out of Black and White. I pick Sun out of Sun and Moon. I pick X out of X and Y. You're getting the picture, right? I tend to pick... I'm going to pick Sword out of Sword and Shield. I tend to pick the one that's on the first one of the pairing, usually. Lunala is one of the very few occasions that I prefer the secondary version of the game's legendary to the primary. As you actually might notice in a lot of these, if you look at them. Yeah, there's a few. That is intentional. But I do like both of them a lot. I just like Lunella a lot more. Okay, Necrozma. Regular Necrozma is fun. I do like it. It's not crazy powerful, which I find actually quite interesting about it, honestly. But I do like it a lot. It is a very cool mon. I love its design. I think its design, I don't know why, it's sharp, hard edges, like it looks armored. It's spiky, but in a good way of spiky, so take notes, people who made Zapdos. Okay, and as for the uber forms of Necrozma, yeah, they're both here. Dusk main Necrozma, I do prefer Solgaleo to Dusk main Necrozma, and I actually prefer both original forms to the Necrozma forms of these. However, I will say, Dawn Wings Necrozma is still fucking awesome and is up here. That's how much I like the Lunala design. The edited Lunala design is still amazing. I do prefer the regular. I like the colors better. The blackness does work on it, but I think the blue works even better. The blue and gold over the gold and black, so it is great, and I do love it, but I prefer regular Lunala. Lunala is amazing. And then there is Ultra Necrozma, the Dragon of Light himself, which is in the category with the big chunky lads here. Of all of these, I absolutely adore. I do think I prefer Ultra Necrozma to Dawn Wings as well. I genuinely adore Ultra Necrozma. It's so fucking cool. It's got some of the most heavy metal names for abilities, but it's like, what is it? It's light that burns the sky or something like that. It turns pure gold, which I love. It's a dragon. It's also one of the strongest Pokemon ever. It's up there with Complete Zygarde and Mega Rayquaza. It's up there in these massively over-the-top powerhouse modes, which I love. Magearna, I do love Magearna. I love the little metal fairy. It reminds me of a Digimon. This one always reminded me of a Digimon. So Magearna, you're getting an A tier. Any actually, are you no, you know what? You're getting S tier. You're getting S tier. I'm also realizing some bits that I'm just going to do. I'm just going to do some tweaks here. Palkia, Origin, you've been bumped down a tier. I do think that I like the top three of A tier higher than you. Not that it's bad, it's very powerful, but I prefer regular Palkia's design. I think it is a downgrade. Okay, Marshadow, everyone knows I like Marshadow. Marshadow is a very cute little bugger. I genuinely love this thing. This thing is terrifying in Pokerogue as well, let me tell you. But it's a lot of fun. I do genuinely like this mon. I think it's an awesome Pokemon. Thank God Power Up Punch isn't in the game anymore, so we don't have to worry about this bastard. Because I don't think it got it in base Pokemon. But if it ever comes back, it's not getting Technician Power Up Punch. Let's say that. Zeraora! I hate you. I'm going to be honest. I do not like Zeraora at all. I think it is. I know it's technically a cat. It doesn't look like a Pokemon to me. It looks like a Sonic OC. It's someone's persona that they put into Pokemon. I'm sorry, people. If you love Zeraora, fair. I don't. Babu Melmetal. Babu Melmetal is fine. I kind of like it. It's very cute. Regular Melmetal also there. And G-Max Melmetal there. I've never been a particular Pokemon Go fan. I talked about this with G-Max's last week. It's cool. It is cool. And I get why people would love it. It's very strong, apparently, as well, which I do like. It's not really for me. Okay, now we get to Zacian. Regular Zacian. I will go regular Zacian. Top of A tier. I know. Sounds horrifying. I'll also put regular Zamazenta. High A tier. I will say, I love these Pokemon. I genuinely love them. In fact, you know what? Nah, let's be a bit more honest. Let's be a bit more objective on this one. I think they do both deserve S. Just thinking on it, I think they deserve S tier. However, remember when I was saying that there's a certain few Pokemon which are always on my go-to teams for Ubers? Yeah, that's where Zacian goes. I love Crown Zacian. And Crown Zamazenta is also very, very cool. I may put him with Dustman and Crossbow, which I say is very appropriate. But I fucking love Zacian. Zacian Crowned is one of my favorite legendary Pokemon. It is in very good company. I'm pretty sure, if I look at the rest, yeah, right there, Rayquaza, Origin Giratina, Reshiram, Primal Groudon, well, Groudon probably, because it wouldn't be allowed double Mega. Lunala and Zacian, I'm pretty sure is just my Uber's team. Sorry, Latias, you're not quite up there. Power-wise, at least. I love you to use you, but if we're talking big stompy Ubers, yeah, you don't really match up to the others in power. But yeah, these are absolute monsters. Most of my Ubers team are Pokemon I really, really like. If I'm playing Ubers, I'm not playing seriously. I'm going to play just what I like. And this is what I like, right? If I could do fuck it Wii Ball mode, I would have a Mega Rayquaza, a Primal Groudon, and all the rest of these, and it would be sick. Yeah, they're great. Eternatus, I'm a big fan of Eternatus, personally. I think it is an absolutely awesome Pokemon. I get people not liking it. It's a bit... Again, if people go it's over-designed, it's supposed to be like extraterrestrial space energy dragon. What the fuck are you expecting it to look like? It's supposed to look weird. And I like it. I think it's a cool design. It's very just strictly this is what it does. It's nothing too crazy about it. It just hits very hard and is fast, right? It's cool. Master Hand, the Eternamax Eternatus, is very cool as well. I do like it. It is an S tier. I'd love to be able to use this thing. It's not ever usable, which I'm also very happy about. But I do like it. I think it is also very, very cool. So, it also is the highest stat total of any Pokemon because it's specifically not a usable Pokemon. It's got over 1,100 base stat total. It's got like 400 points over Mega Rayquaza. It's insane. Oh. Okay. Back in one moment, I need the bathroom. We are going to be continuing on even after the time because we got to. But I need the bathroom real badly. So back in a second. Hi, I'm back. To finish off the last sections of Gen 8, and then get into the massive chunk of legendaries in Gen 9. Gen 8 also has a lot of legendaries, to be fair. So, we're now at the Gen 8 DLCs. So, we're starting with Kubfu. Kubfu is cool. I do quite like the little bear. It's a cool idea for a Pokemon. I haven't played any of the DLC stuff with Pokemon Sword and Shield, and I probably never will. I'm gonna be perfectly honest here. If I'm playing Sword and Shield, I'm playing it for the Pokemon that you can only really find in Sword and Shield that are the main game. I don't really have interest in the DLCs because it's not the current Pokemon game. So, for those ones. There are cooler mons, and I know the DLCs mostly add Pokemon that I've used before, because I think most of the post-game Pokemon it adds are, admittedly, very cool Pokemon, and very, very powerful. And it adds some features which are great, but it's features that I can't really use a crazy amount, so I'm not that bothered. So yeah. Anyway, then there is Urshifu Single Strike, which I think is... I've told you before, I think Single Strike Urshifu is awesome. It does everything you expect a Pokemon of its caliber to be. It's a crazy broken Pokemon. It has clear weaknesses. I talked about this in the G-Max modes last week, so I don't really want to go into the ones for Urshifu again. Rapid Strike, again, it's B. It's a cool Pokemon, but it's got some massive distaste for me because it's broken without reason, essentially. Ew. Sorry, I was responding. Sorry, I had to respond. It's about my, the game, the Lancer game that I usually play. Basically, we haven't had a set date for when we're actually starting the new campaign. So one of the players has gone, hey, do you mind if I nab the time slot for a little bit so I can get you guys through some, like, Pathfinder 2E stuff? And I'm like, and they were, like, checking, does Bane and Dan want to be in? It's like, yeah, I'm down. Fuck it. I get to try stuff I haven't played yet. So... yay, I'm happy. I'm more than happy. Pathfinder 2 is so good. That's not going to be streamed, by the way. That's just for my own personal pleasure. I talked about these as well. G-Max Urshifu, it's basically just Urshifu, and G-Max other Urshifu, it's basically just Urshifu. So, no strong feelings. Zarude! I'm sorry, Zarude. What is your purpose? You are the most forgettable, one of the most forgettable Pokemon. You're so forgettable. The person who made this tier list didn't put your other form on, because I'm pretty sure there's two Zarudes. I'm pretty sure there's two different versions of Zarude. But you're just there, I don't really like you. I'm sorry. So rude. You're not special. You're just kind of there. Yeah, so that's that. Reggie Lecky, Reggie Lecky's fun. Reggie Lecky is very fun. So, lightning bolt. This thing went massively up in my estimations of how much I enjoyed it. Having used one finally in, Natdex doubles on stream. This thing is just silly, and I do like it. Is it my favorite? Nah. But it gets an A tier. You've earned an A tier, buddy. I do like it. It used to be my least favorite Reggie. Having seen it a bit more and see how it works, it's like, it's fun. Yeah, Reggie Drago. I do genuinely like Reggie Drago a lot. It's got a great design. Do I like it more than Reggie? I think I like Reggie Gigas a little more to use. I do genuinely like it. Reggie Drago, again, it does gain a lot of points for its massively cool design and for just what it does. But it loses a couple points because this is only in legendaries, for reference. This is only in legendaries. They subjectively have to go for the legendaries. What it does is you choice scarf this thing. You can run it other ways, but let's face it. If I was to use this thing standard, I would choice scarf this thing, massively special attack, and take stuff like Dragon Energy, Draco Meteor, and stuff like that. Like, nothing too obscene, but just make it do the dragon damage big, essentially. And scarf it so it gets really, really good on it. And probably take it with something that's super fast that you can tailwind with. That's what I'd do, probably. For doubles. I'd take something super fast at tailwind, maybe Kilowattra or something like that. Or Whimsicott for Prankster tailwind, something like that. And then just Dragon Energy with a Choice Scarf or Choice Specs or something like that. Just nuke stuff. Just nuke stuff down. You're always going to outspeed. Try that. Yes, you take some problems with the Fairy type, but then you just get some steel damage in there somewhere. Yes, it won't do it for the Reggie Draco, but you'll do it for other things, so. Glastria, I genuinely like Glastria. I've talked about this a lot. Is Glastria good? Not particularly. But I love using it. It's a fun mon to use. Big stumpy horse. I like the Destria as well. It's just, oh, I do like it a lot. Spectria. Spectria's fine. I'm not going to give Spectria a really good review because it's just... It's cool, but it's... It's Gengar with special boxing. That's all I can think of it as. I'm not too impressed. Regular Calyrex, sorry, you look dumb. You're fine. You exist. You are a Pokemon that exists, regular Calyrex. Now, Calyrex Ice Rider. Calyrex Ice Rider, real shit. That's a Pokemon right fucking there. Calyrex Ice Rider is awesome. I love it. I've talked about this before. It is a stupidly broken Pokemon. It's got clear weakness. What is this clear weakness? It's a very tanky Pokemon. What the hell is its what's its weakness? What's its problem? Slow as dirt. Sure, you can make it work with Trick Room. And Trick Room is really, really good with this mod, but that's using another ability to make it crazy, right? It isn't crazy on its own in a vacuum. And also, if you're going to use this Pokemon to set up Trick Room itself, which it can do, by the way, you're using up a turn. Right? You're using a turn to make this thing do good. In which case, you're going to take some hits. Yes, it's tanky enough to take those hits, but you are taking the hits, so it's got some stuff you need to do to set it up to be broken. On its own, it's just good. It hits crazy hard. Glacial Lance is crazy fun. Awesome move. I love Ice Rider Calyrex. Ice Rider Calyrex is an amazing Pokemon. Then we get to Shadow Rider Calyrex, which, unfortunately, Shadow Rider Calyrex, Terra has made you a problem. I do say this Pokemon is good, right? It's too powerful. This Pokemon with Terra is... Actually, no. You know what? I won't rate it because Terra. I will put it to... here. You'll be in the same tier as Urshifu. As Rapid Strike Urshifu. You are cool as a Pokemon. You're brokenly powerful as a Pokemon as well. However, unfortunately for yourself, Calyrex, Spectria, Terra makes you too powerful. It does. It objectively makes this thing too broken. There is the weakness this Pokemon has in a vacuum, which is fine, is it has two quad weaknesses, which are going to kill it. Sucker Punch kills this thing, right? And it just dies. It's got okay durability, but it's nothing crazy. It's not Deoxys bad, but it's not like Kyogre or anything. We're not talking about a giant tank of a Pokemon here. It's fairly squishy. But it's got 150 speed and like 170 attack or something like that, a special attack. And if it was keeps its typings and it wouldn't change, it's fine. I think this Pokemon is just fine. It's very good, but it's nothing broken. And then you added Terra, which meant this thing could Terra Fairy, which removes all of its negatives and all of its weaknesses and makes this thing brokenly powerful. With Terra, Calyrex Shadow Rider, it should be banned in every format. There should be a thing which is Terra is banned because of this Pokemon. This Pokemon is Terra takes it too far. It's one of those problems, which is why Shedinja is now banned in every format. Because Terra exists. It shouldn't exist. Like that. It is a thing that is too strong. And it's why I don't think Terra will come back. It might come back in a massively future game. It should never be kept in every single game, because it's going to make problems like Calyrex Shadow Rider. Where the typing is the weakness. Like, they give a weakness to every Pokemon. Usually it's its typing. This is one of the few Pokemon that its typing can be completely covered by one change. So yeah, I really like it. I'm sorry, Enamorous, I don't really like you at all. You get Contrary, but you don't really get anything good with Contrary 4. I don't really like Enamorous, I'm gonna be honest. I'm sorry if you're an Enamorous lover. It's my least favourite of the genies by a lot. It's just... I don't really like its design either. I like that it's got the turtle. I'll put the turtle form a bit higher. I like that the turtle basically proved yes, it's the 4 Guardian Beasts, and that's about it. Wo-Chien, you exist. I'm sorry, Wo-Chien. You're cool. I wish I liked you more, but I just don't. You're fine. Chen Pao, however, the ice Sabertooth Snow Leopard. You I actively love. Yeah, about there, I'd say is fair. I genuinely love this Pokemon. It is awesome. I love it. It's basically Super Weavile with a really good design. I love the design of Chien-Pao. It's my favorite of the Ruin Pokemon. I adore this thing. It's such a good design. It's sleek. How it moves is beautiful. How it looks is great. It's peak. It's peak. It's such a good mon. As it is beating a fair few dragons on the legendary list. Like, it's great. Ting Lu. Great Pokemon again. Not quite reaching the heights of Chien-Pao. But I'd say Ting Lu is a comfortable high A tier. It's a really, really good mon. It's really fun. I do like this kind of bulky look. It does what it says on it. It's giant moose. Giant, like, construct moose. It's tanky as fuck. It's great. I love it. I also love that it gets fisher. It's silly. Even though this thing literally got, like, 3 or 4 fishes in a row against me. With no guard or anything. It just did it. It double fished my Goober in the match that I had up against the guy who was running Ting Lu in the original doubles match. The only reason I survived the only reason got doubled fished was because I was running Focus Sash on it. Because they had a powerful ice type, I think. So. Chi-Yu. I like Chi-Yu. I'd say about the same as Ting Lu. I think they're both really, really cool. I love the nuke fish, basically. It's fun. And it's a cool idea for a Pokemon. Yes, it's crazy powerful, but I don't really mind that with these Pokemon. Also, it's based on those little, like, the big-eyed fish you always see in aquariums and fish tanks and things. It's cool. I like it. Okay. Koraidon. Another member of my Uber's team was Koraidon. I think Koraidon was on the team, not Groudon, to be fair. I fucking love this Pokemon. Yeah, I can't really... This lot here are all equal for me, pretty much. I maybe put Reshiram to here, but they're all... I love these things so much. They're all great. These Pokemon, I love them. They're my absolute beloved Pokemon, and I would regularly use all of them. Miraidon, the more powerful of the two. I also had the realization, I talked about this a while ago, the reason why Koraidon is not Dragon Fire is it would be unbeatable. Koraidon would be way too strong if it was Fire Dragon, so they had to make it Dragon Fighting. Fair enough. I get it. I do absolutely understand that one. Sadly, why is it not? It's a fire Pokemon. Like, it looks like it should be a fire Pokemon. And then I had the realization of, yeah, this thing would be the most broken Pokemon ever made, and it wouldn't even come close. It would be more powerful than pre-nerf Zacian or Mega Rayquaza. It genuinely would be. So, yeah, fair enough. Make it fire. Make it dragon fighting. It is a nerf. Okay, now for the DLC. Yeah, I love Koraidon and Miraidon. They're both amazing Pokemon. I love Koraidon significantly more than Miraidon, though. Walking Wake. Easy clap. S tier Pokemon. Absolutely amazing. Where are you going? You're going here. Iron Leaves. I like Iron Leaves a lot. Iron Leaves is sick. Very solid A tier. Is it good? Not particularly. Is it a massive upgrade design-wise? Yes. Excuse me. They took an awful Pokemon, absolutely useless beyond belief, terrible shit beyond imagining, and made it still bad, but actually usable and cool. So, yeah, Iron Leaves is fun. Now, Okidogi, solid high B. Or is it A? Actually, it's a low A. I'd say it's a low A tier. Yeah, right there. I like Okidogi. Monkey Dory, though. Okidogi, I used Okidogi quite a lot. Have used it. You can do some fun with it, genuinely. I enjoy using this Pokemon. I ran it Assault Vest, I believe. With, like, max health, max attack. Gave it some, like, cool physical powers. It was fun. It's a fun one. Monkey Dory, I actually was genuinely thinking, what do I think of Monkey Dory? And I think I don't like it, but strictly because there's much cooler mons. I don't really like its design that much. I know what it's based on, and it's fine. So it's a high D tier. It is high D tier, I will say that. It's almost enough to get into C. But if I wanted a poison psychic type, if I wanted a fast special attacker like this, there's so many Pokemon I prefer to run that aren't it. So, yeah. I don't really like it. But Pheasantipede is pretty cool. I like Pheasantipede. Pheasantipede, I'd say, is high B tier. And I think it's very, very cool. It's a fun Pokemon. Great design. Best design, I'd say, out of the loyal three. Not crazy useful. It's fun, though. It's a fun one. Remember I was saying that a certain Pokemon matches up into the Celebi and Latias fan club? Yeah, that's Ogerpon. I adore Ogerpon. She's so cute. I have tried using Ogerpon on my Uber's team. She doesn't quite measure up in power level, but she's on par with Latias, I'd say, in power level. My god, with Terror is she busted as well. I love Ogerpon so much. My favorite is the Flame one, but she's so cute. She is peak. I love Ogerpon so much. I adore this thing. As you can tell, the fact that this thing is beating out things like Giratina, Lunala, Primal Groudon, Zacian, and all that stuff. Yeah, Ogerpon's great. I love this thing. She's so adorable. That's one of the main things. They did such a good job characterizing her, and she's powerful as well. She's so good and cute and amazing. I love this thing. I love Ogerpon so much. Peak Pokemon. If you haven't played the Teal Mask DLC in Pokemon Scarlet, go play it. It's worth it just for this Pokemon storyline alone. She's so cute. Yeah, Ogerpon, amazing. Okay. Now, I was saying, certain Pokemon make Raikou and Entei that look a lot lower rank. And it's these. These are the Paradox Beasts, as I call them. The Paradox Legendary Beasts. They are amazing. All of which very worthy S tiers. All of which very even with each other. I like all three. All three are perfectly even in my eyes. They are such awesome Pokemon. All amazingly cool. Easy S tiers on all of them. And I couldn't pick a favorite. I think I said this before. All three of them I like. For different reasons. Gouging Fire is Giant Fire Dragon. It's a giant... It's exactly what I've asked for ages. It's a big, stompy, powerhouse fire dragon type. Raging Bolt is goofy in the best kind of way. And it's stupidly powerful. It's your endgame beatstick. It's giantly tanky. It hits like a freight train, but it has priority. Thunderclap is one of my favorite... Is probably my favorite electric move. And then we've got Walking Wake with Hydro Steam. It's a water type built to go on sun teams. It's a water type that doesn't particularly want to be on a rain team. I love it. I genuinely love these Pokemon, all three of them. They are absolutely amazing. And they are a worthy upgrade, basically, to the original Paradox Beast. And they are a worthy homage to them as well. So I love them so much. Iron Boulder is cool. All three of these are getting good marks as well. Iron Boulder, I do think I've gotten around to liking Iron Crown a little bit more than the other two, but they're all very comparable. They are good. I like them. I genuinely think these are all very, very cool bonds in their own right. I genuinely like them. Are there Pokemon I prefer to use to these? Yes. Would I mind using any of them? No, not really. I think they're all cool. And they're all got great designs. Terrapagos. I like Terrapagos. I think Terrapagos is a worthy S tier. It needs to be S tier, right? It's awesome. It has a cool story as well. It's not a crazy long or complicated story, but it is crazy. It is cool. So, yeah, Terrapagos is awesome. And I do genuinely like this thing. It's got an interesting thing. It's the reason terrestrialization exists. And when you terrestrialize it, it goes God mode. And its boss fight is really cool and interesting. Same with the Okapons. Like, they did a good job with those boss fights. They are very, very fun. And then there is Pecharunt, which I think is a perfectly acceptable Pokemon. I'm not particularly crazy about it, but it is cool, and I like its stat rank. It's very silly. It's a fun Pokemon. I'd rather use other Pokemon in it, though. It fills the same role as my beloved Marnie, my Toxapex. So, I'm going to use it probably in the same kind of situations, and I'd rather use Toxapex. So, yeah. That is my Pokemon Legendary tier list. As I said, I didn't think anything deserved E tier at all. Legendaries are all good in their own ways. And there are a few which I think, these are the legendaries that I don't like. And it's generally me. You can make a case for any legendary to be put pretty much anywhere on this list. And I said it would be very, very top heavy, this list. S tier has way more Pokemon than any other tier. A tier has a lot of the others. B tier is still great. C tier is fine. I don't really find much. I don't think anything in C tier is bad necessarily. Statistically, yes, it can be, but I don't think the designs are particularly bad. And D tier is the ones that I actively don't like. But again, you can make a case for any of them. All of these is personal preference, and I think that every legendary has its own place. Except Zeraora. I'm not a big fan of Zeraora, and I think Zapdos, if it didn't have its design faults, would be great as well. It's a very good Pokemon. I just hate its design. So yeah, that is my legendary tier list. You can see it is 100% biased. I will absolutely say it is very biased. Next up, I don't know what we're doing for the next tier list. Well, I'll think of something. But I haven't got anything planned for it. The legendary one was genuinely by popular request. I actually had a lot of people asking me for this one, which is why I did it. I do love my legendary Pokemon a lot. So, you're gonna get good results out of them, basically. I like my legendaries. And a lot of these legendaries, a few of them that are in, like, the lower tiers are because I haven't particularly used them. Or I have some, like, angst against them, particularly. But yeah, they're all fun. I like legendaries a lot. So, I hope we get more. Well, I know we're gonna get more. I'm looking forward to seeing what more we get. Basically. in future Pokemon games. It's going to be fun. But yes, that is all we got time for today. I hope you enjoyed. I had a fun time making this tier list, genuinely. It was very silly. It was very silly indeed, but I had a damn good time. It is very, very enjoyable. So, yeah. At the end, I don't know what the next tier list is going to be next Monday, but we'll figure something out, I'm sure. So, I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. I don't know what we're going to play. Actually, no, I know exactly what we're going to play. We're going to play the Holo Cure update. That's my current plan for tomorrow. If I can get things working properly, I will be playing the Holo Cure update. I'm a huge VTuber fan, as people know, so I will be looking forward to playing and gathering for the new characters. I haven't played Holo Cure for, I think, 2 updates, so I'm very behind. But, hey-ho, right? I'm looking forward to it. So, I hope you guys enjoyed. I will see you tomorrow. Then, as usual, Wednesday, we will be having a short stream. Probably just some Pokemon Showdown before my own Pathfinder game. Then, on Thursday, we will be playing... I will ask some people if they want, if they're free for an idea I've got. If not, maybe more Holo Cure if I've not gotten everything, or if I particularly fancy playing more. Or maybe some more Pokemon Showdown. I don't really know. And then on Friday, we're back with Altera. So, tune in for this week. It's going to be a fun one. If the schedule goes... If the things go well, and what I ask happens, Thursday should be very entertaining. So, do tune in. Do look out for something special. If it's not, it'll just be something like Pokemon Showdown or Holo Cure or something. Just something normal. So, yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the show. Have a fantastic evening. Everyone, if you keep playing video games, keep being awesome, guys. All of us on Twitch. Enjoy yourselves, guys. Have a lovely time and a fantastic evening. I've got a really sore throat now. So, see you around. Have a fun time, Nix. See ya. Good night.